The Sanderson Sisters of the Appalachians, too macabre for the history books, Hazel, Mercy, and June Wyrick. Before we step into the fog of Blackthorn Hollow, tell me in the comments, where are you listening from right now, and what time is it there? Hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next chilling tale from the shadows. Ooh. The fog rolled thick through the hollers of West Virginia in 1923, like a shroud woven by unseen hands from the devil's own loom. It was a summer Sunday, but the sky hung heavy with dark clouds, turning the day into an early twilight. Rain hammered the tin roof of the Wyrick farmhouse with relentless fury, a rhythmic pounding that echoed like God's unyielding judgment. Inside the modest wooden home, lit only by flickering kerosene lamps and the crackling fire in the hearth, the three Sanderson sisters, Hazel, Mercy, and June Wyrick, knelt in prayer. To the scattered neighbors in that isolated mountain hollow, they were the epitome of rural American virtue, pious, hard-working daughters of a widowed father who clutched his Bible like a shield against the world's temptations. Hazel, the youngest at 19, had wild red hair that cascaded in untamed curls over her shoulders, framing sharp green eyes like hunting knife blades. Her skin was pale, almost translucent under the trembling light, and she moved with a feline grace that unsettled the men in the congregation. Mercy, 21, was her opposite. Voice soft as molasses, a worn Bible always in her calloused hands, brown hair pulled into a severe bun. Her blue eyes conveyed angelic serenity, and her reputation for singing hymns that soothed even the wildest horses was legendary in those hills. June, the eldest at 23, stood tall and silent as the century-old pines flanking the property. Her midnight black hair was always braided with military precision, and her angular face rarely cracked a smile. She was the invisible leader, the one who spoke little, but whose words cut like a freshly sharpened axe. Their father, Elias Wyrick, a broad-shouldered man in his late 50s with a beard streaked grey from grief and toil, led the prayer. His voice boomed through the room, deep and gravelly from years of shouting orders over storm winds. "Lord, protect this house from the snares of the wicked," he intoned, eyes squeezed shut. "Keep our hands clean and our hearts pure." The sisters murmured Amen in unison, their voices blending like a hymn from some forgotten church choir. Outside, the rain eased to a drizzle, and the fog clung to the ground like a living thing, swallowing the distant peaks. The Wyrick farm sat deep in Blackthorn Hollow, a narrow valley where the Appalachian mountains squeezed the world into submission. Cornfields stretched in uneven rows, flanked by tobacco patches, and a sagging barn that leaned against the hillside like a drunkard. Chickens scratched in the mud, and a few lean hogs rooted near the smokehouse. It was a hard-scrabble life, sustained by moonshine runs and bartering at the county fair. But the Wyricks were respected. Elias had lost his wife, Clara, to a fever 5 years prior, and the girls had stepped up without complaint. They churned butter, tended the garden, and mended clothes for neighbors, always with a smile and a scripture verse. Old man Harlan Jenkins, a wiry neighbor with a face like weathered bark, trudged through the mist that afternoon, his shotgun slung over one shoulder. He'd come calling for stray pigs that had wandered from his pen, muttering curses under his breath. The Wyrick property line was marked by a rickety fence of split rails, overgrown with blackberry brambles. As Harlan poked around the edge of their yard, his boot struck something hard beneath the sodden earth. He knelt, digging with calloused fingers, expecting a rock or root. Instead, he unearthed a small bone, human unmistakably from the curve and size, a child's rib perhaps. His heart hammered like a trip hammer. Wiping mud from his hands, he pocketed the find and stumbled back to the road, mind racing with old wives' tales of haints and mountain witches. By evening, Harlan burst into the Blackthorn General Store, where Sheriff Amos Tate nursed a tin of tobacco. Tate was a burly man in his 40s, with tobacco-stained teeth and a belly straining his uniform buttons. Rain dripped from his hat as he listened, eyes narrowing. "Human bones, you say? In the Wyrick yard?" Harlan nodded frantically, pulling the bone from his pocket. Tate turned it over in his palm, feeling the unnatural smoothness. "Could be animal. Pigs look similar." But doubt gnawed at him. The Wyricks were odd. Elias kept to himself, and the girls, pretty as sin, rarely courted. Whispers said dogs shunned their fence, and milk soured in their churn. The next morning, Tate rode out with 2 deputies, horses snorting in the chill fog. The Wyrick farm looked idyllic. Smoke curled from the chimney, and the scent of cornbread wafted on the breeze. Elias met them at the door, Bible in hand, face set like flint. "What business, Sheriff?" Tate explained, holding up the bone. Elias's eyes flickered, but he waved them in. "Search if you must. The Lord knows our innocence." The sisters hovered in the kitchen, Mercy stirring a pot of beans, Hazel peeling potatoes with deliberate slowness, June leaning against the doorframe like a sentinel. Tate's men poked through the yard, prodding the soft earth. Nothing at first, roots, stones, a rusted plowshare. Then, near the smokehouse, Deputy Lyle unearthed another. A skull fragment, small and delicate. The air grew thick, the fog pressing closer. Elias blustered, "Coyote kill. We bury 'em proper." But Tate saw the glances between the sisters, Hazel's lips twitching in suppressed amusement. Mercy's hands trembling on her apron, June's gaze steady and unblinking. As dusk fell, Tate gathered his men outside. "We'll need warrants," he muttered. Lyle, a young deputy with a fresh mustache, whispered, "Heard tales from my gran about Salem witches, symbols in their barn match." Tate shivered despite the summer warmth. The mountains held secrets. Old blood feuds and disappearances chalked up to bears or floods. But this felt different, personal, like eyes watching from the tree line. Back at the farmhouse, the sisters gathered around the supper table. Elias slammed his fist, rattling the tin plates. "Fools sniffing where they shouldn't." June poured coffee, her voice calm as a mountain stream. "Let 'em dig, Pa. They'll find nothing but dirt." Mercy bowed her head, whispering a prayer, but Hazel grinned, green eyes gleaming. Or maybe something to keep 'em coming back. Elias eyed his daughters, a mix of pride and fear in his weathered face. The rain resumed, drumming secrets into the night. Word spread through Blackthorn like wildfire. At the church social that week, whispers buzzed over fried chicken and pie. Widow Jenkins clutched her shawl. Harlan swears it's human. And those girls, too pretty for their own good. Preacher Harlan, no relation, defended them from the pulpit. "Judge not, lest ye be judged. The Wyricks tithe faithful." But mothers pulled children closer, eyes darting to the hollow's shadows. Sheriff Tate couldn't shake it. Nights found him pacing his office, the bone on his desk under lamplight. He remembered Clara Wyrick's fever, how the girls had nursed her, singing hymns till the end. Elias claimed God's will, but neighbors said screams echoed that night. Tate poured moonshine, the burn steadying his nerves. The mountains were closing in, fog thicker each dawn, days blurred. Tate returned alone, under pretense of neighborly chat. Elias invited him in, Mercy serving cornbread still warm from the oven. "Try this, Sheriff. Recipe from Ma." It was heavenly, flaky and sweet. June watched him eat, her silence heavier than words. Hazel brushed past, her scent of wild herbs and earth intoxicating. "You look tired, lawman. Rough roads." Tate mumbled thanks, but his eyes caught it. A trunk in the corner, monogrammed C.W. Clara's. Obstacle mounted, Elias barred deeper search, thumping his Bible about false witness. Town divided. Preachers' flock defended the girls. Farmers muttered of curses. Tate leaned on Deputy Lyle, who scoured county records. Drifters gone missing last harvest. Kids, too. Lyle's gran had tales. Wyrick blood tied to old Salem stock, witches hanged, but spirits lingering. Tate confronted June by the creek, water rushing cold over stones. "What are you hiding?" She met his gaze, unflinching. "Nothing a good Christian man needs fear." Her hand brushed his arm, electric. He pulled away, heart pounding. Mercy appeared, singing softly. "Amazing Grace," voice weaving through the fog like a siren's call. Tate retreated, mind fogged. Cliffhanger built slow. That night, deputies pried open Grandma Wyrick's attic trunk, dusty, locked with rusted hasp. Inside, not just bones, a blood-stained dress, tiny, child's size. Hem sewn with a strange symbol, interlocking circles, like witch marks from Lyle's gran, and beneath, a lock of red hair, tied with twine. Hazel's color. The fog swallowed the farm as screams echoed faintly, or was it wind? Tate stared at the find, knowing he'd unleashed something ancient. The perfect daughter's mask had cracked. 2 weeks after the bones surfaced in the Wyrick yard, autumn painted the Appalachian ridges in bloody reds and golds. The summer's relentless rains had given way to crisp mornings, where breath hung in the air like ghosts, and the hollows echoed with the first mournful calls of migrating geese. Blackthorn Hollow felt the shift, a hardening of the land, as if the mountains themselves sensed blood about to spill. Little Eliza May Hargrove, a wide-eyed girl of 14 from the next valley over, set out that Saturday afternoon to pick blackberries along Crooked Creek. Her pa, a moonshiner with hands like ham hocks, warned her not to wander far. "Stay close, girl. Fog's got eyes this time of year." But Eliza, with her sun-freckled cheeks and braids swinging like pendulums, giggled and promised. She never came home. Sheriff Amos Tate heard the news at dawn the next day, roused from fitful sleep by Deputy Lyle's frantic knock. The office smelled of stale coffee and tobacco, the bone fragments from the Wyrick trunk still locked in a drawer. "Eliza's gone, Sheriff. Ma found her basket by the creek, berries scattered like buckshot." Tate's stomach twisted. He strapped on his holster, the weight familiar but suddenly heavier. Mounting their horses, they rode through mist-shrouded trails, the clop of hooves muffled by fallen leaves. Blackthorn buzzed. Neighbors gathered at the Hargrove cabin, a sagging structure of logs and despair. Mrs. Hargrove wailed on the porch, rocking a colicky baby, her face etched with terror. "She screamed in my dreams last night, like a rabbit in a snare." Tate organized a search party. 10 men, lanterns swinging, dogs straining at leashes. They combed the creek banks, calling Eliza's name until voices grew hoarse. The fog clung low, turning pines into looming shadows. Hours passed with nothing but a child's shoe half buried in mud. Frustration mounted. Old grudges surfaced. "Wyrick's put a hex on this holler," muttered Harlan Jenkins, shotgun in hand. Tate silenced him, but doubt festered. The dogs grew skittish near the Wyrick fence, hackles raised, refusing to cross. One snapped at phantoms, foaming. Tate dismounted, boots sinking in muck. "Track here," he ordered. The trail led straight to the Wyrick barn, a hulking shape swallowed by brambles. The barn door creaked open under Tate's boot, revealing darkness thick as tar. Lantern light danced across hay-strewn floors. Tools hung like instruments of torture. The air reeked of wet earth, blood, and something sweeter. Overripe fruit? No. Decay masked by herbs. Deputy Lyle gagged, covering his nose. "Lord have mercy." Tate's beam caught it first, a dark stain spreading from the center drain, fresh crimson pooling. Nearby, clutched in a chicken feather, a braid of chestnut hair. Eliza's exact shade. Heart pounding. Tate drew his revolver. "Wyricks, show yourselves!" Elias emerged from the shadows, pitchfork in hand, face thunderous. "Trespassing on private land, Sheriff." Behind him, the sisters. June wiping hands on her apron, expression serene. Mercy clutching a hymn book, eyes downcast. Hazel leaning against a stall, smirking faintly. "Coyote's got the girl," Elias growled. "Heard 'em yippin' last night. We cleaned up the mess." Tate's eyes scanned. Blood trails led to a root cellar trapdoor, bolted shut. He kicked it, locked. "Open it." June stepped forward, voice cool as creek water. "Nothing down there but potatoes, Sheriff. Help yourself to some cornbread first, Mercy's specialty." Mercy offered a plate, tears glistening. "Pray with us for the child." Her voice trembled, angelic. Tate hesitated, the aroma intoxicating amid the stench. But Lyle pried the door, revealing stairs descending into blackness. They lit torches, descending into damp chill. Shelves lined walls, jars of cloudy liquid, dried herbs, a cleaver crusted red. No body, but a scrap of calico, Eliza's dress pattern. Climbing back, Tate faced June. "Where's the girl?" She met his gaze unflinching. "Gone to glory, likely. Mist takes wanderers." Word of the raid spread like creek fever. By noon, a crowd gathered at the Hargrove place, farmers, wives, the preacher. Harlan Jenkins spat tobacco. "I seen their eyes. Witch light." Preacher Harlan thumped his Bible. "Mercy tithes pure. Devil accuses the faithful." Town split. The pious defended the Wyricks. Mothers clutched children. Tate returned to his office, slamming the braid on his desk. Lyle pored over maps. 3 missin' last harvest. Drifters to the creek. Tate poured moonshine, the burn steadying nerves. Flashback haunted him. Days prior, Mercy at the general store, singing to Eliza. "Come hear my new hymn, child, 'bout angels calling you home." The girl had beamed, following her voice into the trees. Obstacle reared. Elias swore affidavits claiming coyote kills. No warrant without proof. Tate leaned on Lyle, whose gran spun Salem yarns. That symbol on the dress? Witch mark. Interlocking circles for binding souls. Tate scoffed, but felt watched. Nights brought dreams. Sisters' faces in fog, hymns twisting to screams. Days later the creek swelled with rain. A fisherman hooked something heavy. Washed up horror. Eliza's body bobbed pale, bloated, throat carved with the witch symbol. 3 sets of small fingerprints ringed the wound like childish work. Tate retched, covering her with his coat. Coroner confirmed, exsanguinated, herbs in her veins. Ritual killing. Crowds surged the Wyrick farm, torches blazing. Elias met them, shotgun ready. "Touch my girls, meet the Lord early," June whispered to Mercy. "Sing for 'em." Mercy's voice rose, "Nearer, my God, to thee," calming the mob like magic. They dispersed, murmuring. Tate interrogated separately. Hazel first, giggly, dirt-rimmed nails. "Pretty girl, Eliza. Liked blackberries." Mercy wept genuine tears. "I prayed for her safe return." June. "Fog lies. Believe what you see." Elias blustered scripture. No breaks. But Lyle found a smokehouse jar. Pig's blood, they claimed. Tate overcame with persistence, raiding records. Wyrick ancestors from Salem stock, hanged witches' kin. Cliffhanger crescendo, diary page slipped from June's apron during scuffle. First harvest sweet, her essence renews. 2 more by frost. Tate pocketed it, fog closing in. The sisters' hymn echoed faintly. Something ancient stirred. Winter descended on the Appalachians like a vengeful spirit, its icy grip turning Blackthorn Hollow into a frozen prison, where sins hid beneath pristine snowdrifts. Blizzards howled through the passes for weeks, piling snow against cabin walls and burying trails under feet of white. Chimneys belched black smoke as families huddled by fires, sharing moonshine and tall tales to fend off the dark. Sheriff Amos Tate's office transformed into a makeshift war room, walls papered with grisly evidence, faded photographs of Eliza May's bloated corpse, hand-drawn maps of missing persons trails converging on the Wyrick farm, and the crumpled diary scrap from June's apron. First harvest sweet, her essence renews, 2 more by frost. The air reeked of wet wool, stale tobacco, and despair. Tate paced endlessly, his boots wearing paths in the floorboards, haunted by the 3 sets of fingerprints on Eliza's throat, delicate, feminine, damning. Federal Agent Harlan Crow arrived mid-January from the Charleston field office. A sharp-dressed city man in his 30s, with a wool overcoat, wire-rimmed spectacles, and a skepticism honed by urban cases. He stepped from his Model T Ford, cursing the snow-choked road, cigar clamped between teeth. "Hillbilly witch nonsense," he declared upon entering Tate's office, shedding his coat to reveal a crisp suit amid the rough-hewn logs. "I've chased bootleggers and bank robbers, not fairy tales. Show me facts, Sheriff. Corporeal evidence, not haints and hexes." Tate bristled, his tobacco-stained fingers clenching, but he needed Crow's authority for federal warrants. The agent pored over the files, brow furrowing at the witch symbols. "Salem? That's 1692 folklore. These hill folk are uneducated, not occultists." The breakthrough came during a midnight raid, snow falling thick as feathers from a gutted goose. Tate, Lyle, and 2 more deputies slogged through drifts to the Wyrick barn, lanterns casting long shadows like accusing fingers. The structure loomed, its sagging roof groaning under the weight. They pried rafters with crowbars, dust and cobwebs cascading. There it was, June's diary, bound in cracked leather, hidden in a hollow beam. Pages yellowed, script meticulous, June's hand precise as a schoolmarm's. Tate cracked it open by lamplight, breath fogging the air. "Their essence renews us, like Salem witches burned but unbroken," the first entry read. "Blood of innocence binds the bloodline eternal." The chronicle unfolded horror upon horror. 17 harvests since 1918, starting with nameless drifters snared on mountain passes. Drifter number 1, Tom the Hobo, 1918. Strong heart for visions, boiled with rue and sage. Hazel's annotations scrawled in margins, childish loops. Fear tastes best. His eyes when Mercy sang, pure lightning. Mercy's entries, twisted scripture, Psalm 23 backward. "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. In blood." Elias's contributions chilled deepest, taught him true from Ma's lessons. Her fever blood was first test, 1918. Weak, but path lit. Recipes filled pages, heart tea for prophetic dreams, bone dust ground into cornbread for unnatural strength. Symbols illustrated each rite, interlocking circles for binding souls, crosses inverted for calling the old ones. Crow paled, cigar forgotten. "This is insane, but systematic. Ritual murder, premeditated." Lyle nodded eagerly. Gran called them witch marks. Wyricks from Salem stock, hanged but spirits lingered in the blood. Word leaked by dawn. Blackthorn erupted. A riot brewed between Preacher Harlan's pious flock, who saw the Wyricks as persecuted saints, and furious farmers clutching pitchforks and torches. Crow swore federal warrants. Tate led the arrest party at dusk, snow swirling like malevolent spirits. The Wyrick farmhouse glowed warm against the cold, lamplight spilling from windows, the scent of baking bread wafting mockingly. Elias barricaded the door with an oak beam, shotgun blasting warnings into the night. "False prophets, touch my blood. Meet your maker." Splinters flew. Deputies returned fire, shattering glass. They dragged him out, cursing psalms, the sisters surrendering meekly. June serene, Mercy weeping into her hymn book, Hazel smirking through the chaos. Interrogations cracked the winter night like thunder. Crow took June first, in the stone-walled jail cell, steam rising from their breaths. Chained to the wall, she sat tall, black braid coiled like a serpent. Pa taught purity. Outsiders corrupt the hollow's balance. Flashback spilled in her monotone, candle-lit barn. Sisters circled around a pentagram scratched in dirt. Elias presiding like a dark patriarch. "Ma's fever was us testing the right," June recited. "We bled her slow, collected essence, showed the path." Hazel had cackled then, green eyes wild. "I like their fear, the spark in eyes when knife bites, makes the power sing." Mercy sobbed in memory, God's will inverted. They ascend quicker through our hands. Crow pressed. 17 lives, children included. June's gaze pierced spectacles. Blood calls to blood. Salem kin hanged for less, ours endures. Authentic dialogue echoed raw, Elias coaching pre-harvest, sing 'em sleep Mercy, voice like angels, knife clean and deep Hazel, bury with salt June, lest they rise hungry. Mercy broke next, genuine tears streaming. "First was Ma. I sang Amazing Grace while they cut. She smiled at end, saw glory." Hazel giggled through bars. Eliza tasted like blackberries, sweet. Obstacles mounted relentlessly. Preacher Harlan testified fervently. Mercy prayed over me, visions of heaven, pure saint. Lured by her song during tithe visits, town rioted openly. Effigies of witches burned outside the church, fights breaking skulls with axe handles. Crow, city tough, cracked under isolation. The relentless cold gnawed his bones like a living thing, blizzards trapping them for days. June's unblinking stare during sessions broke him. Law binds flesh, blood truths run deeper, feel it in your veins yet? Tate overcame by torching suspect farm evidence, root cellar jars smashed, diary photographed, but guilt festered like gangrene. Eliza's ma confronted him at graveside, snowflakes melting on her shawl. "Find justice, Amos, for all the lost." Her forgiveness reignited his faith, steeling resolve. Trials loomed by February thaw, 17 counts of murder, 1 per victim. Evidence snowballed. Bones exhumed from family cemetery matched missing reports. Toxicology confirmed ritual herbs in veins. Coroner dug deeper. Victims drained systematically. Symbols carved post-mortem for binding. Sisters remained stoic in court. Elias grinned from his cell, muttering, "Circle turns." Crow wired D.C. Case unprecedented. Occult serial family. Media sniffed. Charleston Gazette dubbed Appalachian Witch Clan. Flashbacks deepened the diary's abyss. 1920 harvest. Rival moonshiner caught trespassing. His shine fueled the fire, essence potent. Elias. Drink deep, daughters. Salem's gift. 1922. 2 children from traveling carnival, lured by Mercy's hymns at fairground. Tender, strength doubled. Hazel. Their games turned to ours. Community complicity emerged, neighbors ignoring dog howls, accepting coyote excuses for convenience. Tate walked frozen creeks alone, diary burning in his coat. Snow-muffled world, but echoes haunted. Hymns twisting to screams, fog whispering names. Lyle unearthed ancestor logs, Wyrick's fled Salem post-trials, witch blood branded. Crow confessed over moonshine. This ain't crime, it's war with the old dark. Cliffhanger crested, diary's final uncorrupted entry, dated Eliza's eve. Father joins tonight, circle completes. 3 become 4, eternal. Shadows lengthened in Tate's mind, Pa's hand in every kill. Farm smouldered from earlier blaze, but 2 sisters' cells stood empty at dawn check. Fog had claimed Mercy and Hazel. June smiled from irons. Blood calls home. Spring thaw came late to Blackthorn Hollow in 1924, the Appalachian mountains reluctant to release winter's iron hold. Snowmelt roared down the ridges like vengeful spirits, swelling Crooked Creek into a muddy torrent that tore at banks and unearthed long-buried secrets. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and blooming dogwood, but beneath the renewal lurked rot, literal and figurative. Sheriff Amos Tate rode out at first light, his horse picking treacherous paths through mudslides, the weight of the Sanderson Sisters case pressing heavier than the sheriff's badge on his chest. June Wyrick sat chained in the county jail, her dark eyes following him like a hawk's, while rumors swirled that Mercy and Hazel had slipped their cells in the night fog. Elias Wyrick, their father, grinned from his own irons, muttering scriptures twisted into curses. The diary's final words: "Father joins tonight. Circle completes," burned in Tate's mind, promising deeper darkness. The breakthrough shattered the fragile calm mid-April, when farmer Jedediah Cole's plough snagged on something unyielding in his bottom field, adjacent to the Wyrick Cemetery plot. A family affair of crooked stones fenced by rusted iron. Jedediah unearthed a fresh-dug grave. Not animal, but human. A drifter's remains from last fall, ribs carved with the interlocking witch symbols, pockets stuffed with dried herbs matching June's recipes. Panic rippled through Blackthorn like creek fever. Tate arrived with Deputy Lyle and Agent Crow, shovels flashing in pale sun. They exhumed 3 more from the family plot. A carnival child's skull grinning up from clay, a moonshiner's jawbone clenched in eternal scream, Eliza May's missing shoe beside a tiny handbone. 17 markers, but graves numbered higher, dozens, overlapping in frantic haste. Crow knelt in mud, face ashen beneath his city spectacles. Systematic, a family necropolis. Tate felt bile rise. These weren't random. Positions formed a circle, centered on Clara Wyrick's stone. Her death date etched 1918. Lyle whispered Gran's law. Salem Layan, bloodline graveyard for bindin'. Elias's interrogation cracked then, dragged to the site under guard. The broad-shouldered patriarch, beard matted with sweat, laughed, a wet, guttural bark. "You're digging your damnation, law dogs." Under questioning, Crow's euphemism for sleepless nights in a hot box cell, water dripped on forehead. Elias broke. "I taught 'em true. Salem blood runs pure in our veins. We take to live forever, harvest the corrupt to feed the eternal." His confession poured like spring flood, raw and unfiltered. Flashback consumed the dim cell. 1918, Clara wasting on her deathbed, fever-bright eyes pleading. Elias hovered, Bible open to Exodus plagues. "The Lord's testing us, woman." June, then 17, handed him the knife, clean, serrated. "Pa, her essence first." Mercy sang Amazing Grace, low, voice weaving peace as Hazel held limbs. Clara gasped, "Angels." Comin', blood filling the basin they passed hand to hand. Elias drank first, face ecstatic. "Path lit. Witches hanged, but we drink their strength." From there, harvests escalated, drifters for practice, rivals for vengeance, children for potency. Their fear, nectar, songs lure, knives reap, graves seal. Dialogos authenticus cortavam como laminas. Elias coaching pre-ritual. Mercy, hymn soft, nearer my God to thee, draw 'em close. Hazel, strike heart first, feel the spark. June etch the bind, circles eternal. Post-harvest, around candle-lit table, June stirring tea. This one's vision strong, saw the hollow burning. Hazel licking lips, tasted wild, like fox. Mercy praying twisted, blood washes whiter than snow. Elias beaming paternal pride. My girls, Salem's true heirs. Pa built this farm on their bones. Obstacles towered like storm clouds. Town fractured deeper. Preacher Harlan rallied flock to Free the saints, clashing with mob at jailhouse, axes swinging. Crow wired DC for troops, riots scorched barns. Elias's allies emerged, silent neighbors who'd taken coyote bribes in shine or meat. Tate overcame isolation, leaning on Eliza's ma, May Hargrove, steely widow now, who organized women patrols, shawls over shotguns. For my girl Amos, burn the hollow clean. Her resolve mended Tate's frayed faith. He burned tainted cornbread from Wyrick raids, swearing oath on Eliza's grave. Trials convened in county seat, May dogwoods blooming mockingly. 17 counts per sister, conspiracy for Elias. Courtroom sweltered, flies buzzing over testimony. Coroner detailed, victims exsanguinated, herbs inducing paralysis, alive for harvest. Bones DNA linked to missings spanning years. June testified cool. Blood right, not crime. Mercy wept spectacle. Pa made us, God's inverted will. Hazel grinned impish. Fun ends now. Elias monologued from dock. Your laws bind flesh. Our circle spins eternal. Salem proved it. Media frenzy peaked. Charleston Gazette screamed, Wyrick witch coven. Crowds surging rails. Flashbacks layered horror. 1921, twin boys from revival meet. Lured by puppet show Mercy staged. Played our game, Hazel noted. 1923 Harvest Eve, Eliza skipping blackberries, Mercy's voice floating. Child, angels sing for you alone. Knife flash, circle carved. Elias burying under moon. Deeper girls, salt the earth. Execution loomed June full moon. Ironic nod to rights. June hanged stoic, neck snap echoing hollow. Elias first, mob stoned pre-rope. Blood calls home, smiling to drop. Mercy begged genuine. Mercy for the merciful. Noose choked irony. Hazel vanished chaos. Fogbank rolled unnatural. Deputy ally looking away. Mercy followed, whispers fleeing, scream curse. Tate aged decade overnight, farm torched finale. Flames devouring barn, diary ashes skyward. Guilt gnawed. Two slipped, Hollow's curse. Growth came graveside. May's hand on shoulder. You freed the rest, Amos. Live true. Faith flickered renewed. Badge heavier, but purpose clear. Cliffhanger. 2025 drone hums ruins. Shadows dart fog. Red hair gleams. Descendants whisper. Howls return. Circle unbroken. The years following the Wyrick trials blurred into a tense hush over Blackthorn Hollow, as if the Appalachian Mountains themselves conspired to bury the Sanderson Sisters' atrocities beneath layers of time, kudzu, and collective amnesia. By summer 1924, the torched Wyrick farmhouse stood as a charred skeleton against the skyline, its blackened timbers thrusting skyward like accusing fingers frozen in agony. Vines crept over the ruins. Wildflowers bloomed defiantly in the ash-enriched soil, and locals avoided the spot with superstitious detours, muttering prayers against haints. Sheriff Amos Tate, now gray at the temples, and stoop-shouldered from sleepless nights, patrolled the ridges alone, his revolver heavy with unfired regret. June and Elias swung from the gallows. Mercy begged to her last breath, but Hazel and Mercy, no. Hazel alone confirmed vanished. Slipped the noose in that unnatural fog. Whispers persisted, red hair glimpsed in mist, hymns floating on windless nights, dogs howling at phantom moons. Decades ground on, the Great Depression hollowing cheeks and hopes, World War II drafting young men to foreign mud, the post-war boom bringing paved roads and electricity to Blackthorn. Tate retired in 45, dying in 52 with diary ashes clutched in his fist, warning Deputy Lyle's son on deathbed. The circle spins eternal. Blood calls blood. Lyle Jr. dismissed it as fever talk, but graveside vigils multiplied, farmers nailing horseshoes over doors, preachers thumping Salem texts. The Wyrick name faded to legend, folded into Appalachian folklore alongside Mothman and Bell Witch, recounted around campfires with sips of white lightning. Yet disappearances ticked upward. A hiker in 63, ribs carved circles. Twin girls 78, lured by singing from the woods. Coroners chalked to bears, but old-timers spat Wyrick essence. By the 2000s, Blackthorn transformed unevenly. Subdivisions nibbling hollow edges, cell towers piercing pines, but the core remained wild. Cell service spotty, fog thick as memory. Podcasts revived the tale in 2012, Appalachian Witch Blood, hosted by Atlanta skeptic Dana Crow, Agent Harlan's granddaughter. Episodes dissected diary photocopies, interviewing Lyle's kin. Gran saw shadows post-fire. Red hair, 3 silhouettes. Downloads spiked. True crime junkies flooding trails, leaving energy bar rappers amid ruins. Locals cashed in, haunted tours via rusted school buses, $20 a head for ghost stories and s'mores. May Hargrove's descendants ran the general store, selling witch-begone candles infused with sage, their eyes wary on outsiders. 2025 brought reckoning. Drone hobbyist Tyler Vance, a Pittsburgh tech bro escaping city grind, launched his DJI Mavic over the Wyrick site April 15th, thermal imaging hunting Sasquatch rumors. Footage dropped jaws, ruins overgrown but intact foundation, heat signatures darting, humanoid, 3 figures huddled by a central stone, one red-haired, movements feline, another singing audible on audio track, hymn distorted, Nearer My God, in blood. Vance uploaded raw cuts to YouTube. Appalachian Wyrick haunting confirmed, garnering 2M views overnight, comments exploding. Salem bloodline real. FBI cover-up. Tyler returned with night vision, capturing fog rolling unnatural, shapes encircling a fresh-dug pit, symbols etched glowing. Sheriff's Department, now led by Lyle's great-granddaughter. Deputy Mara Tate, dismissed as drones and cosplayers. But DNA tests on exhumed scraps matched Salem witch trial descendants. Goody Wyrick hanged 1692, marks of devil on skin. Modern victims' bones yielded herbs, rue, sage, from June's recipes. Podcast boom ensued, Blood Hollow series by ex-FBI profiler Lena Crow, episodes dissecting rituals. Not psychosis, cultural inheritance. Appalachia as a cult petri dish. Interviews with Wyrick descendants. Reclusive clan in adjacent hollow, surnames changed but red hair prevalent, avoiding cameras. One slipped. Blood remembers, don't dig. Obstacles persisted into present. Tourism clashed tradition, vandalism at ruins, fights between believers and debunkers. Mara Tate patrolled, torn between duty and legacy. Grandpa Amos freed most, can't unring the bell. Emotional core, annual Eliza May Memorial, May's great-grandkids lighting candles, fog swirling. Mara overcame skepticism via Vance's drone. Heat sigs matched 1923 witness sketches. Tall, silent leader, angelic singer, wild redhead. Growth. She digitized Tate's files, crowdsourcing tips, forging alliance with Crow descendants for closure. Flashbacks wove modern dread. 2024 Harvest Eve. Vance hiking alone, hearing him, Mercy's voice. Fog closed, silhouette offering cornbread. Taste home, wanderer. He fled, jar in hand. Pig's blood. Lab, human trace. Locals reported Weevos. Dogs knew first. 2025 drone. 2-0 caught ritual. Figures chanting backward psalms, circle of bones. Vance vanished post-upload. Truck at trailhead. Braid of his hair found. Present day, March 2026. Wyrick hollow pulses. Tour buses idle, influencers TikTok, haunt challenges, but night falls silent. Shadows move ruins, red gleam in fog. DNA links Vance to site, missing, presumed harvested. Descendants thrive unseen, circle spins. Bloodline eternal. Narrator close. You'd open if they sang your name? Locked doors, Tell below where watching from. Like, subscribe. More Hollows Whisper.